As usual, a lot is going on in the world. It is June 25th, 2024. And we're going to talk about some of those things happening in the world. And of course, I've got my good friend Rick Rosner with me, and we'll see who else joined us as well from the usual panel and all along those lines. But apparently, it looks like Julian Assange has agreed to a plea deal, and he pleaded guilty in exchange for a release, ending a standoff with the United States. And of course, that was the WikiLeaks founder and all in that space. So it looks like that legal saga has ended. And definitely that is something that folks are paying attention to. There's apparently he is heading toward Bangkok and all in that space. He may actually already be in Bangkok as well. And part of Kenya's parliament is on fire as thousands of protesters have entered that area. Several bodies are seen. So it looks like the Kenya parliament is on fire as protesters are protesting against a finance bill, and that is escalated. So it looks like that is something that is going on as well. And Barack Obama's sister speaks to CNN after getting tear gas during the Nairobi protest and all in that way. And Moldova has joined Ukraine in a big step on a path to joining the EU, and Ukraine is to start its EU accession talks as well. So it looks like the EU is launching membership talks with both Moldova and Ukraine. So both of those may be joining that organization as well. And Gaza is a high risk of famine, according to a report. And definitely that is something that is going on as that war continues. And over 20,000 children are estimated to be lost, detained, or buried under rubble. And of course, there's all kinds of things going on in the UK as well. So the UK general elections are taking place, and five more police officers are alleged to have placed bets on election date as Tories drop two candidates. So the Conservative Party has withdrawn support from two candidates over the election betting scandal. And Sunak is not aware of other Tory candidates linked to the betting inquiry. And it looks like a historic moon mission is moving China ahead in the space race with the United States. So China's lunar probe returns to Earth with the world's first sample from the far side of the moon. So definitely it looks like that's going on as they have returned from the moon carrying the first ever soil sample from its far side. And the International Criminal Court has issued war crime arrest warrants for some of the people associated with Russia. So they have issued arrest warrants for Sergio Shugay and Valery Gersimov. So that is something else going on. So that apparently the international courts is putting out various war warrants and all in that way. So definitely a lot of people will be paying attention to that, and we'll see what goes on in that kind of space. And it looks like the Japanese emperor and empress have started their UK state visit. So London's Kew Gardens has a long link to Japan, and now the emperor is set to visit. So it looks like there's be some conversation between the Japanese and the folks over there in the United Kingdom. And a Maryland couple was prepared for their Hajj pilgrimage, and then they died in the extreme heat. So it looks like more than 1,300 Muslim pilgrims died from extreme heat, and definitely that's something that's going on as well. An American woman's heartbreak as parents die on Hajj, and she said that they saved their whole life for this particular trip. And a mixed martial arts fighter and relative of a regional office official is among the Dagestan attackers. So Dagestan in southern Russia apparently has a history of violence, and Putin is pledged decades ago to conquer the horrors of Islamic extremists. And definitely that is something that is going on as well as the death toll in the Dagestan church and synagogue attacks rise, according to officials. And the Chinese premier is warning that decoupling will lead to destructive spiral. So Chinese premier is slamming trade tensions as EV exports are hit by tariffs. And China hits back at West over capacity allegations in EVs and lithium batteries. So that is something else that is going on as well. And it looks like there is a gentleman who's only 28, but apparently he's revitalized as France's far right, and apparently could even be the possible leader there in France at some point or another as well. And it looks like there is the U.S. is telling Hezbollah, don't count on us to stop an Israeli attack. And Hezbollah's threat caught Cyprus off guard, but U.S. is warning Hezbollah it can't hold Israel back if escalations continue. And South Korea slams North Korea's fresh trash balloon launches and threatens loudspeaker broadcast. So definitely it looks like parasites were even found in the North Korea's trash balloons, according to folks at Seoul. So definitely it looks like South Korea military is saying that 350 waste balloons were detected from North Korea overnight. So it looks like we're still having that balloon war as well. And Zelensky is firing top Ukrainian commander after claims his soldiers suffered heavy losses. So Zelensky has removed General Yuri Sodal amid criticisms of excessive casualties. So Zelensky is replacing his commander leading the war on Russia in eastern Ukraine. And Netanyahu says he is committed to hostage ceasefire deal. So it looks like there is the possibility that it may be some ceasefire going on in that part of the world. And Netanyahu is scrambling to contain the backlash on comments to comments on ceasefire deal as hostage families release a new video. And the prime minister has said Israel is committed to Biden's offer despite earlier endorsing partial deal. So it does look like there is some possible leeway and some progress being made in that space. But we'll see what happens as things continue. And Tony Brass has withdrawn from representing Oakland Mayor Shang Thao. So the Oakland mayor's attorney quits after being surprised by a news conference. So after an FBI raid, the defiant Oakland mayor says she did nothing wrong and will not resign. So definitely it looks like there is some conversation. We'll learn more from Rick about what's going on in California. And in other legal matters, the special counsel is defending investigators' handling of the Mar-a-Lago documents kept in a haphazard manner by Trump. So special counsel is defending the Mar-a-Lago search of cluttered collection of documents. So that is something else that is going on in the news as well. And it looks like there are definitely folks that are preparing for the big debate on Thursday. So that's only 2 days away. And apparently Trump has spent months painting Biden as incompetent. Now he's changing his tone before the debate. So definitely it looks like he's saying from the worst debater to a worthy debater. So it looks like he is preparing to get folks in that space as well. And it looks like the first congressional Democrat has endorsed George Latimer over Jamal Bowman in the New York primary. So it looks like a squad member faces ouster from Congress as New York, Colorado, and Utah hold primaries on Tuesday. And definitely Jamal Bowman's primary race could send progressives warning signs, according to some of the news releases and news sources that are out there as well. So we'll see how this all plays out. And Missouri and Kansas judges are halting student debt forgiveness. So courts are blocking part of Biden's student loan repayment plan for millions, and judges have halted key parts of Biden's student loan forgiveness repayment plan, risking relief for millions. So that is something else that is in the news as well. And the U.S. Surgeon General is declaring firearm violence a public health crisis. So this is something that the Surgeon General is declaring, which is declaring gun violence a public health crisis. So as I said, that is one of the last things that I'll bring up in the news, and I'll bring up Rick and see what he's got to say about that. And also got to share a couple of things that it's just me and him right now. We'll see if anybody else joins our conversation later and everything. But one of the things that was quite fascinating was I saw that here in Durham, North Carolina, there was a federal indictment of a gang, and the gang didn't leave much to the imagination, because apparently the title of the gang and some of the gang leaders is STK, which stands for shoot to kill. So I'm going like, that doesn't leave much to the imagination if they're coming to grab you, or if they're doing any gang activities. Apparently, if they've got a name like STK.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when there's a rapper who's named, Little Murder, and then,
Right.
today's the Colorado primary. And, Lauren Boebert became a national joke after she was caught doing hand stuff with a guy. But she's favored to win the primary, according to recent polling, which is crazy. She had to switch districts because in her old district, she only won by about 500 votes. She switched to a more Republican district. So whoever wins the primary will almost certainly win the general. And in the last poll, she had 40%, and none of her opponents were much above 10%. So her comeback is crazy. which is too bad if you think she's a jackass, which I do, because if you get elected to Congress 3 times, you get your salary for life as a pension, I believe is how it works. She's been elected 2 times, so this if she wins today, she'll likely get a lifetime pension of at least $174,000 a year.
Wow. I wonder if she'll be over there, because part of the reason Nick's not here is he's dealing with a pension case. And I'm wondering if she'll kind of go get a pension advice from our fearless leader, Nick, and all along those lines. And we'll see.
Well, she's known for not taking advice. Another story I saw on Drudge, an MMA fighter lost his match. Then he proposed to his girlfriend, and she rejected him in front of 20,000 people.
Oh, wow. Wait a minute. Because that always hurts you if you're going to do a public greeting. Because I know people that have done it at baseball, not personally, but people that have done it at baseball games, people that have done it at football games, and even that whole notion of proposing using a skywriter and the planes and everything. But yeah, it's got to be really heartbreaking if you go through all of that expenses, or you if you're a known sports person and you go out and you try to make this public declaration of love, and then the person's like, nah, I really don't love you.
She said she rejected him. Lucas Bukavaz. She said she rejected him because he recently cheated on her.
Oh, well, that would be a good reason to get rejected if you're cheating on people. I told you that earlier today I was looking at Project 2025, and I saw that one of their agendas, because they've got several things that they want to do, including reclassifying some of the federal jobs and even get rid of entire departments. I think that EPA may be on their list. The folks at the NOAA, I think it is, that do a lot of the weather forecasting are on their list. And like I told you before we came on the news and everything, I also heard that they are going to try to make pornography not banned and everything. So I'm trying to figure out how will that work, because I know a lot of times you bring up
Project 2025 is a 900-page agenda. It's basically Trump's platform. You know, Trump himself, he's kind of, it's whatever comes into his head. But the Heritage Foundation is this conservative organization. And some of the people there say they want to make sex serious again, return it to its procreative function. So you shouldn't be, having sex or masturbating, or you shouldn't have sex unless there's a chance you can make somebody pregnant. But do you really want the government, like, I would guess that 95% of men look at pornography at least, once in a while, and probably, 60% of women. Do you really want the government all up in your computer telling you what you can and can't look at?
Yeah, I don't want the government doing that. And I would actually think that even though they may disagree with me, it's probably just as high for women as it is for men. They may not look at it in the same way that we do, because I do remember there was a time that there was a push, and you've been in the entertainment industry, for there to be kind of like this more story-driven version of porn that was supposed to be more women attractive, or women were supposed to be more attracted to it. I think there were even some
porn for women isn't. I mean, so yeah, if you're young, you may not remember a time when porn movies had plots.
Right.
And people have from time to time attempted to make kinder, gentler, more loving porn that would appeal to women, and with I don't know, mixed success, I guess. But now porn is just the whole industry got wrecked when everybody decided there are worldwide 2 million people show themselves on OnlyFans. 1 million of them are Americans, which is about the same number of doctors we have in America. So like homemade porn, has become a major thing, and which is really hurt the porn companies. If
Yeah,
you
certain porn companies, but if they get rid of porn, like I said, that apparently is one of the targets of Project 2025. Will they go after strippers too? Because I think a lot of people in our legislators and a lot of business people, that's maybe even where they get some of their business deals done, in addition to getting them done on golf courses and tennis courses and other places that are stereotypical places where business deals are done. So will they get rid of the strip clubs as well?
I don't know. I haven't seen any stories about anti-strip club legislation.
Yeah,
They could. I mean, in Colorado, as I was, I lived there till I was 26, and the law, changed from you can be all the way naked to you have to be wearing more than a G-string.
gotcha.
So, I mean, they could do that. They could make people wear more clothes.
They could do that, and who knows? Maybe that's what they'll do. I see that Shaquille has arrived in the background, and maybe he'll come on, or maybe he'll come in as Lee does sometimes if they are traveling or doing business deals in the chat and all along those lines. But if he chooses to come on, he'll let us know if we say anything that is interesting, and he may comment in the chat remarks as well. What is our expectations of the debate? Because it literally is in 2 days, and I was just wondering because I know you follow a lot around politics, as I know.
Okay, so I look at an online bookie that has they've got a bunch of prop bets about the debate. Prop bets are these little ridiculous bets you can make, like who will be the first to mispronounce the name of a politician, Biden or Trump? Whose first answer will run longer? How many times will Putin be mentioned in the debate, with the over-under being 4.5? So all these ridiculous debates. The only bet I'm really interested in is who's going to win according to the polls, because I looked it up, and Trump's been in 5 presidential debates, 3 with Hillary, 2 with Biden, 4 years ago. He's never won a post debate poll, and he usually loses by a huge margin. He's not a good debater. People don't like his behavior when he's on stage. So that seems like a good bet, because the online bookie has Trump favored to win the debate. And anytime you see, a betting line that seems so far out of off of reality, that makes it an attractive bet.
Well, speaking of bets, we're going to bring in Steve Rao, who is a politician in the North Carolina area, but also has got aspirations of being either statewide or national himself and everything along those lines. So we were just talking about Project 2025 and some of the news items before you got here, Steve. But what is your idea? What do you think will happen on the debate? Because I have heard some people that are thinking that it was a mistake to let one for the mute button to be exercised, because some people say that if the mute button wasn't exercised, there's a good chance that one or both of them may make a lot of errors. But
guys, I'm coming in for a few minutes. I've got to go interview with ABC News on the Apple deal. I've got a number of interviews. I'm so sorry. But real quickly, let me give you my insight on that and a quick update. We're going to be talking tomorrow about the debate, about the state of the economy, with inflation and prices rising. We've had major economic development deals pull out of North Carolina. I had an interesting discussion yesterday on third parties, whether they're going to be really move the needle. And so I'm going to go ahead and review all of that tomorrow when I call in, and I'll be here longer. But let me answer your question. I think that's a good segue as we prepare for tomorrow. I think that this debate is going to be a big moment for both Trump and Biden. I think they both have a choice of whether they're going to move the needle, elevate the seriousness of this, talk about the issues. I think in some ways it helps Trump in that there's not an audience there, so he doesn't have to get bombastic. But his ego might be fragile enough that if they start bringing up issues about the conviction, he could get really aggressive. I think the president's biggest challenge is the economy, i.e. Apple, right? Pulling out. I mean, real estate, interest rate, housing prices up, food. I went to the shop the other day, paid $12 for cereal, $15 for razors. bought 5 items, 95, $100. And so this is the impact. And so the messaging has to be very clear. What the president has to do on Thursday night, probably the biggest moment of his political career, is he has to make an argument of why he is the right guy for another 4 years. What has he done to help the economy? Now, I think he can cite unemployment being lower than it was. He can cite the billions of dollars of infrastructure that he invested. Many economists actually say that we avoided a recession because of that. I think he can do all of these things, and it's going to really be a matter of him making a case. And of course, he's got to deal with war in Ukraine, war in Israel, all of these things. So he's got to be crystal focused, avoid the gaffes, hoping he doesn't stutter a lot, but he does stutter, especially when he's under stress. He's got an opportunity here, but this is a big moment for Joe Biden. I think he's going to have to deliver kind of when he surprises with the State of the Union. So jack him up with some energy shots, throw a couple of espressos in there. Let's see if he can put the makeup on. But I will say this, I'll end with this. Trump has a lot of energy. Trump is a showman, right? He doesn't really get into a lot of details, but he has a creative way of saying, if I could do my Donald Trump imitation, and I'm not going to out of professionalism, but he'll move back and he'll say, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but things are going to be great. Things are going to be wonderful. Things are going to be great. Yeah, he does the little move, okay, I'll do a little Trump. He goes, it's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. Don't know what it is, but it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be wonderful. And that kind of like is his greatest pivot, right? So that's my quick take. I've got to head over to the news station.
No, I appreciate that. Can you talk really quickly about this Apple? Because I thought that they were the reports I saw.
Big
they were
news,
still going to be here, but not till 2026 versus 2025.
Yeah, and I got to research how many billions of incentives, but about $79.8 billion over the next 39 years, 3,000 jobs. Once again, pulling out the deal. Cognizant pulled out. You have Syneos Health that didn't really renew their expansion, and a number of companies. And so I think it's just a matter of, of the economy. I mean, ironically, right? I'm going to be talking about that. And is that something that, we have to look at? It's just unfortunate, right? And so I want to hear from Shaquille, and I've got to run, but I'll be on tomorrow. I guess, when you're, I guess the media loves me. I'm a bit of a hound dog, so they just can't get rid of me,
That good look and charm, Steve. Your good looks and charm.
What?
It's all about his good looks and charm.
It's your good looks and charm.
Speaking of somebody else with charm, I'm going to bring in somebody that'll actually be surprised at what I'm going to bring up and everything. But I was talking to a good friend of mine, and they were saying that they didn't even get a chance to really say what it was that they liked about Trump and everything. It was actually a young lady that was on my lady pursuit kind of list and everything for somebody that I had courted in the past and everything along those lines. But they said that they actually, before they could even say why they liked some of Trump's views, they basically got yelled down and almost are feeling like they have lost a friendship because they are favorable of some of Trump's.
Well, that's the divisive.
So I was just wondering.
That's the divisive nature of your politics. If I can just address some of the things that Steve said specifically about the debate, which I think everybody in the world is interested in watching. I don't think that there will be a more internationally watched debate than this one. I mean, I remember when Mitt Romney debated Barack Obama. I was the only guy that I knew in Australia that watched it. Nobody outside of journalism and politics cared.
That's my new dance, the Trump dance.
Yeah, exactly, my little dance, right? But now with the Hillary Trump, the first debate, again, I don't really think very many people watched it because certainly from the rest of the world, because nobody actually thought he was going to win. But then because of his
guys,
tactics,
I'll be on tomorrow to talk about debate analysis. Thank you all so much. I'll be opening up the show tomorrow at 10.
Sounds good.
See you then.
Thank you.
But then because of his tactics and the sort of viral clips that came, that were on YouTube and stuff like that, we all sort of watched the next debate. I was very interested to watch the first debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden because I was really interested to see what they were going to talk about and what their vision for the future was. And that debate with Chris Wallace was an absolute disaster. And honestly, I put the blame of that on Trump. His behavior during that debate was terrible. I didn't even bother watching the second one. I just got the excerpts from it because it was a waste of my time. So I hope that doesn't happen this time round. And I hope actually that they don't just sit there and have, Biden attack Trump for being a felon and being dishonest and being a terrible person, and Trump attack him for being corrupt and his son was doing all these deals in the Ukraine, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think that actually helps anybody. Let's just, find out from both of these candidates what their vision is for America, what they think that's going to look like. Be honest about the positives and the negatives, and discuss that. So Biden can certainly slap Trump around with, the abortion stuff. I think Biden needs to make a much stronger argument for why he thinks the economy is doing well. And part of that's going to be acknowledging that people don't think it's going well. But one of the things that he can say is something along the lines of, you are comparing me to Trump when there was no COVID. So what was Trump planning on doing? Was Trump not going to spend the money so you could go and have something to eat? Was he not going to put these moratoriums on? Yes, those things have been bad, but what if we didn't do it? Wouldn't that have been worse? I think he's really going to come out and make an argument justifying why he is saying the economy is doing really well, if he's going to win over some of those independents and, win over some of the people from the other side.
A second, Shaquille, along those same lines, and I see we've got other people like Sasha and Chateau that have joined as well, and Dan Worthen, who I mentioned earlier. But one of the things that I was going to ask is, earlier today I read an article. It was a quite fascinating article that was talking about kind of the battle that's going on, and it comes down to the economy question, because it was the president who runs Darden, which runs Olive Garden, and a number of other restaurants. But it seems like they are appealing, and maybe Sasha's got some thoughts because I know he's in the investment space, but they are appealing to people doing sit down because it is just as economically feasible to do a sit down meal like at an Olive Garden or a one of those chains than it is to go to get your fast food from, say, a McDonald's or a Burger King or something like that. So the whole argument that they were making is that it is just as economically accessible because of some of the inflation.
But that's not true, is it? Because but that's not true, because when you sit down and you're served by somebody, you're generally going to tip them as opposed to if you get a takeaway. But if I can just finish what I was saying about the debates, for Trump, I don't think it's going to be enough for him to just come out and say, hey, we're going to drill more oil and we're going to, make America put America first and create jobs. He's going to talk about how he's going to do that. He's going to talk about how the United States is going to interact with, its international partners, not its international enemies, but its international partners, and encouraging trade between them. So those are things I think are going to swing, the election, that could have an impact on the election. If they just come out there and attack each other, well, Trump will probably win that fight. But whether or not that's going to result in any kind of electoral success for him as a result of that, I don't know.
So as I've said, he's been in 5 presidential debates, Trump, and each debate had about 5 polls taken afterwards, and dozens and dozens of poll results. He's never won a single poll saying that he won a debate. So whatever he does, he has to do stuff differently than from what he's done in 2016 and 2020. After his worst debate, his approval numbers dropped 4%, which is the margin in this election.
Yeah, so in 2016, I think he had to act like the way he did, because that was how he got attention, and that's how he sort of was these people are all elite, and look at me, I'm going to fight them at every turn. In 2020, that wasn't the case. He was a sitting president. So he should have been showing that he was more in control, than a much more, not carrying on the way that he did.
So I read that Biden is up at Camp David practicing for the debate, and that Trump has said he doesn't need to practice, that he just goes out and he talks to people. And if he gets up there and he just says his normal rally stuff, I don't know that will persuade voters.
But perhaps not. But if Biden comes out and just repeats pre-rehearsed lines, it's going to not look like it's as genuine and as from the heart as what it will look like when Trump says something. Sasha.
Hey, Sasha, just really quickly, because I know we'll come back to the debate, but kind of the argument that Rick Cardenas, that's the gentleman, was saying was that sit-down restaurant prices at fast food chains are pushing the customers to skip the drive-thru in favor of genuine casual dining experiences. So he was saying, like I said, Darden owns popular franchises like Olive Gardens and Longhorn. So he's saying that they haven't yet benefited from the trend, but noted that competitors like Brinker International, which owns Chili's, and Applebee's parent Dine brand have begun to market toward the fast food customers with cheaper deals because apparently they're doing better in that investment space. So I was just wondering your thoughts around that, because you are in the investment space. So it seems like they are trying to say that because of the inflation, it is driving more people to go down to the sit-down restaurants and everything. I heard what Shaquille saying, but do you agree with this notion that what the president is saying? Because he said that in his report, I think it was 2 days ago.
Mark, I think you asked the question, and you yourself already answered your own question. So there's very little I can do about it. And my investment interests are lying rather with stocks like Nvidia than with restaurant stocks. To tell the truth.
So Nvidia's down quite a bit. Is it a time to jump in yet?
I would wait a little bit. However, today the market is strong and Nvidia is up substantially, but I would wait a little bit. You see, what's happened is that it went up to the top. It opened, I think, last Thursday at 140, and Dove and closed at 126, and then it went down 122 and 118. However, it's recovering now. But you see, stock has to complete its base formation, and it has to find a trading range, because lately it was like a vertical line. You cannot trade the stock when it's vertically going higher and higher and higher every day. 4 points up, 5 points up. It's mind-boggling. It's even difficult. Like I have.
Well, speaking of mind blowing, and I do see we've got Jacoby with it as well, and I know we talked about this in other conversations also. But apparently, I know that one of the big things that is out there, and we've even said it on this show, is this, and Steve brings it up sometimes, is this rise in AI. Well, apparently one of the major chains is not like an AI, because apparently McDonald's has ended their AI ordering. So is AI starting to change, Jacoby?
So can I say something about this?
Finished, actually, Mark. You interrupted me.
My
What you want to say?
I thought you were done.
But it's I'll let you know when I'm done, okay? And something what you interrupted me, I thought that it's something extremely important, but it's not.
Sasha, you can calm down. Sasha, you can calm down. Just go ahead with your point and everything.
Okay, forget about Nvidia, fine. Because people ask me what do I think will happen with Nvidia. Okay, I have my thoughts. Tomorrow is investment show at 1 o'clock. I will let you know what's happening with Nvidia. Now, hold on, Mark, please. Now back to the election.
Yes.
You are all overlooking extremely important part of the debate, and it's a foreign policy. Before Trump and all these MAGA lovers and all these people, let's make America great again, and so on. So there were two important points. Putin is the best friend for the United States, and North Korea. Trump wasted so much time and energy and efforts to turn it around and do something about it or whatever. It's all failed. However, few days ago, very important thing happened. Putin visited North Korea. They signed extended pact, which includes armed forces, supplying and helping each other and all that stuff. So now it's the first time ever that there is a bloc now that confronts not only NATO, but United States. And the first thing is to have a missile that would reach United States East Coast, because West Coast they can reach already today. East Coast. So how the hell Trump is going to explain, and all these MAGA people explain their foreign policy that Putin is the best friend of the United States, and let's make a friendship with Putin and let's love him and all that stuff. How he's going to ever make it? Tell me, anybody.
Well, Dan just left because I think Dan is probably the most conservative person that was here, but hopefully he'll come back and everything. Shaquille, you want to take on some ideas of what the conservatives may be saying? Because I know you have some friends in that circle. I'm not saying I don't have friends in that circle, but do you have any idea what the answer may be to what Sasha is asking?
No, but to be fair, Sasha, I did actually talk about foreign policy when I was answering Steve. But yeah, I think that they're both going to have to talk about this realistically. It's not good enough for Trump to just say, "Oh, look, I'm not going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do, but they've got weak points, and I'm going to push those weak points." But it's also not okay, in my opinion, for Biden to be a bit wishy-washy on the Israel-Palestine thing. Either you're going to support Israel or you're not. You're right. This sort of half-assed way of doing things, I really don't think that that's okay. So it's not just America. The rest of the world has to join and decide to intervene in the whole Russia-Ukraine thing and intervene in the Israel-Palestine thing. You can't just sit there and have a few protests and not do anything about it.
But it's much wider than just Ukraine-Russia war. Now it's the Russia and North Korea. It's nothing to do not so much about Ukraine. It's to do so much about United States of America, because this pact has no other goal as to create a real threat to United States. That's all what it is.
Well, let's be honest though, Sasha. If China had a problem with what North Korea was doing in relation to strengthening a relationship with Russia, China would have intervened. So for the United States to do something at this point, they've got to win China over. I mean, this really does have the risk of us escalating into a world war. I hope that doesn't happen. But it is a huge risk. But to your core point, yes, I think we do need to hear some sensible responses from the presidents in this debate about what they think they're going to do in relation to foreign policy, as well as the domestic issues that face the United States. But the foreign policy thing, there's so much instability there right now, and it's a very, very scary time. And look, we're about to have an election in the UK, and the Tories are about to be absolutely obliterated. So I'd like to know what they're planning on doing as well, which hasn't really been discussed very much.
Shaquille, what to expect from Joe Biden about this North Korea-Russia treaty? He will have to, of course, say that the United States will pursue its policy and will try to defuse this pact. Okay, that doesn't require Biden to completely redo or abandon his previous policies. Whereas as Trump, he's just put a face of the table in a way, because now he has to say, what he has to say, his best friend Putin, he trusts him more than his FBR and the CIA or any other agencies. It's his biggest friend, and the Kim Jong-un.
Sasha, with the greatest respect, it's very clear. You've made it very clear for years that you don't like Donald Trump. I'm trying to remain neutral. Fine. I'm going to get semantic with words. I'm trying to be neutral here. The question that you posed was, what should they say? Whether or not Trump has a better or worse policy or is a better or worse person is not really the issue. And it's not really whatever I think or you think isn't going to make a difference. It's what the electors, it's what the people think when they go to the ballot box. So, what they say in the debate, I think is important. What's much more important is what they actually do. We can criticize their policies, but I'm not going to go into criticizing either Joe Biden or Donald Trump personally, because I think we all know what their flaws are at this point.
But we know what Trump's going to say. He's going to say, when I was president, Putin didn't invade any place. I could talk to Putin. He said, I can talk to Kim Jong-un. And he'll say that, that he'll say that under Obama, if he remembers that Putin took Crimea, and he'll just say that, I can talk to these guys. But under Biden, we got all these wars.
Well, see, here's the other problem, though, right? There has been some talks, and whether or not it happens or not, who knows? But there has been some talks recently in the media that Russia and the Ukraine are ready to sort of negotiate. That Putin had said, okay, look, these are some of the things that I want. Okay, the problem is that if they do that, if Trump wins and there is peace in the Ukraine and Russia within the next 4 years, Donald Trump's going to claim all the credit for that because, hey, look, there was peace under my watch. And whether or not it's true that it was because of his involvement or not, isn't going to make any difference, because all that's going to happen is the optics of it is what's going to stand. Mm-hmm. And that's what Trump is playing at right now. These conflicts are not just because of Biden. You know, the whole world is around, not just America. But the optics is what Trump is hitting them with. And as was alluded to earlier, he's a great showman. He's a media personality. I'm sorry, Jacoby. I'm actually on my phone, so I didn't realize your hand was up. So my phone screen's quite small. So,
Jacoby,
over to you.
I mean, yes, Trump is a showman. That's what he does, and he plays to what people's beliefs are and perceptions are, not the actual realities. Yes, Trump. You're right, Rick. Trump is definitely gonna, if they ask any question about, you know, the wars and so on and so forth, he's definitely gonna say there were no wars on his watch. Yet, never mentioning the fact that one of the bunkers got hit with a bunker bomb and injured a ton of military individuals, and he did nothing in response but complain that, okay, yes, military people get headaches. So we were attacked multiple times under Trump, but there was no response back. So therefore, he capitulated to those world leaders. He's also going to keep going down his path of wanting to dismantle NATO, which he said many a times that he wanted to. He didn't want to be a part of NATO, and that's a reason why many of the actual other countries are a tad bit nervous about if Trump ends up winning. So that'll be his deal with foreign policy. But the thing is, what needs to be done, and this is by both men and not just one or the other, because one thing Biden cannot do is sit there and talk about how great he's done for the economy or how great the economy is doing. And it is all about perception. Shaq, you brought up this point earlier. He has to empathize with the individuals that aren't seeing that. So he's got to be able to express that he sees that and he's working, but he's got to put out a future that is there. In terms of the Israel-Palestine conflict, there's no win situation for him, regardless of what he says, especially at this moment, because the Democrat Party itself is still not like the Republican Party saying that, oh, we're all behind Israel, no matter what, Israel, even though it's turned out, factually speaking, that yes, what this administration has done has been very pro-Israel, regardless of the fact that, you know, dealing with the protests and trying to say that we don't want genocide and so on and so forth. So that's a no-win situation for Biden. It's a big win situation for Trump because he can hammer home that point. Another no-win situation for Biden is immigration. Immigration, you know, Biden can't talk really a bunch about the bill that was on the floor and trying to get that put forward, because just as with politics right now, they tried to push that forward. The Republican Party yelled, "You should not do that. You've got the power. Go ahead and do executive orders and blah, blah, blah." That bill gets shot down. And right now, Biden, yes, turned around and said, okay, well, we're going to try and do what we can by executive order. And the Republican Party is now campaigning. Biden is ruling by executive order when he legitimately tried to do the legislative process, which is what we should normally do. And then in terms of executive orders, Trump had done more than 300 executive orders. Biden has only done about 130. And so the argument, there's just so much context and nuance that neither is going to be able to get to. But yes, they're going to have to stay in their silos and inject something forward.
So the debate's only 90 minutes. Subtract 10 minutes for ads, subtract 10 minutes for asking the questions. Each candidate will only talk for about 35 minutes. And what everybody's suggesting here is, if Trump can lean back instead of being aggressive. Remember, in one of the Hillary debates, he lurked behind her and people thought that was creepy. If his people can convince him to not bluster and be creepy, he's got some advantages.
Yeah, just really quickly.
Well, this is why I think that it's a real mistake, actually, for Biden or for the Biden campaign to have insisted that there be a mute button, so that only the person who's speaking, can speak, because the way that Donald Trump interrupts and carries on makes him look bad. The other thing is that if you're an advisor to Trump, you would certainly say to him, don't save Biden. If Biden starts mumbling his words or starts getting something wrong, don't interrupt him. Let him keep going. But same thing really in reverse. If Donald Trump goes off on the deep end somewhere, let him go. So I actually think that having that mute button, I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to avoid the first debate in 2020, a repeat of that. But honestly, the first debate in 2020 made Trump look dreadful. I MAGA Republican friends of mine that would ring me from the US and go, "Oh no, that was such a bad debate," and then he got COVID as well, which it certainly didn't help.
So
go ahead, Rick.
Just quick. Even though his mic's muted, you might still hear him yelling "wrong" when Biden's, like if he does that, that'll look bad if he has to yell.
I mean, I think it was a huge gamble, and I do think that it's a gamble that could pay off if Trump does like he has done at his rallies. If Trump and also when Trump met with the business leaders that were really about to back him, the message that came out of that was that he meandered and sounded lost in a lot of his comments. So if it pays off, I mean, it could pay off to where, yes, Trump gets into his talking points of sharks and boats that electrocute people, or, some other craziness that he talks about. And he could go down that path. It's a gamble. I don't know if that was a gamble. That would be a gamble that I would take, but it is a chance. And I think the bigger gamble, I think Sasha brought this up in another show about Trump having the last word.
I brought it up.
And if it turns out where Biden can prod or poke Trump and get him off his talking points and what he says and get him agitated, that last word again could be a huge payoff, because if he goes off on some deep end, because right now it's not polling well about relitigating 2020. It's not polling well in independents for relitigating all the crimes and all this other stuff. But if Trump goes on some vengeance tour in his last word, that could sway a lot of people.
Hey, Jacoby, just real quick, and this is actually for both Sasha and Shaquille. One of the things I've been hearing a lot lately is that there is a number of people that are coming from strict business communities. Like I'm hearing that a lot of people that are, and you kind of alluded to it, Jacoby, a lot of people in the energy community, and I know that we have folks, including our founders, that are big on energy and everything, are actually pivoting toward Trump. And we're seeing a lot of business leaders that are now raising these billions of dollars for the Trump campaign. So I'm just wondering, what is the motivation for these business leaders, in y'all's opinion, to go toward Trump? Because it does seem like they're pivoting more toward the Trump way from what I'm seeing in my observation. So any idea their
I'll let Sasha go first, and then I'll come in afterwards, because he hasn't had as much time as
Thank you, Chicago. There is only one reason: they all want to get lower taxes. They expect Trump to lower taxes for rich, and that's what they expect him to do if he'll win. And that's what's going to happen if he will win. The issue is if he will win and how he will win. That's a mystery to me. Shaquille, please.
Look, I think more than taxes, it's about getting rid of regulations. And for everything I've ever said, this is probably going to make everyone go, "What the hell is he doing now?" There is a really serious problem with lowering regulations. And I know I'm the one that always says we need to lower them. Here's the issue. Regulations on big corporations often help the public and small businesses be protected against abusive behavior from those big corporations. So when Donald Trump comes out and says, "Look, I deregulated more than Ronald Reagan did," yeah, that may be true, but that may not necessarily be assistive to small businesses. So that's one of the reasons I think the big business is flirting with Trump. But the other reason why is because it appears that there is a massive surge in the popular circles towards the right and towards Trump. Again, you've seen that in Europe just recently with the elections all going fairly right wing. The UK is an outlier, but it's got a lot. It says a lot that Nigel Farage is doing so well. So you're beginning to see that in the US. You're beginning to see people get tired of what the so-called woke and the transgender swimmers and all that sort of stuff, right? The Bud Light advertisement with Dylan Mulvaney that had such a significant backlash about it. So I think that some of the corporations now, they don't care. I want to make that point very clear. They don't care. These corporations that wrap themselves in the pride flag every month, they don't give a shit. They don't support that. They turn gay for a month, right? When they start supporting Black History Month, they don't care. They don't care about you or me or anybody else. They only care about themselves. Corporations are just psychos. That's all they are, psychos with money. So I think that much of the reason why they're now surging towards Donald Trump is because they think it's popular. And Donald Trump, let's face it, he's a populist. When he gets on the stage, he makes fun of Biden. A lot of people hate it, but there is a big group of people that look at the way Donald Trump impersonates him and thinks, yeah, he's taking the piss out of him. He's a comedian. He's really funny. And that's attractive to a lot of people. So that's why I think big corporations are aligning themselves with him.
Maddow on MSNBC spent quite a bit of time on this last night. She said that business leaders don't particularly like Trump. He spoke at this big business roundtable, and the reaction was lukewarm at best. But Trump is buyable. If you've got money, you want to be in good with Trump in case he gets elected. And also, he's more transactional is what they call it, which is, you wash my hand, I'll wash yours. If you throw money at Trump, he's more likely than most politicians to do what you want.
Oh, I don't think so, Rick. Come on. All politicians are lobbied on both sides of the aisle. That's not fair.
All right.
I was just going to say,
in my opinion.
I was just going to say it goes back to the taxes and the regulations. That's one big thing. But also because of the fact that the polls are looking like it's angling towards Trump, I guess the term is hedging your bets. You're basically betting on the guy that you think is going to win. And that's what they're doing right now. And yes, the round table that you had brought up, Rick, that was the table. That was the Silicon Valley business leaders that were all going to sit there and put big money behind Trump. They had that sit down round table with them. And then the message that came out of that round table was that Trump meanders. They were a little nervous about him personally, about how he talks, how he just goes off in different directions. So that was a problem that business leaders saw. However, and Shaq, I completely agree. The businesses don't care as much as we think about diversity, all this other stuff. They see it as a monetary thing. It is just all about money for them. So yeah, when they saw Trump, they got a little shaky because of the way he talked. That was it.
Okay, I'd like to add something to it. I think you're missing a very big point about the structure of the Republican movement today. It's all Trump-centric movement. If you will take Trump out of the equation, there is no policies, there is no parties, there is no movement, there is nothing. So it's all centered around Trump. And whoever is a little bit not aligned with that person will be ostracized by all Republicans. So the people who even take Nikki Haley, at the end of the day, she had to go under Trump because otherwise she would be outsider of politics. There would be no place for her anywhere near a Republican Party. Same people who were opposing Trump, like even Mitt Romney and others, they were sidelines. They cannot be as a part of the Republican movement, one way or another. They cannot be in the Senate or a House or governors or just have any posts at all. So either you are pro-Trump and you have to voice it. You have to pronounce it. I endorse Trump. I put my $1 million for Trump. Trump is my idol. Trump is everything. And if not, then you
Sasha, though, on that point, right? I agree with you in part. We've seen, we have actually seen some people that I think are reasonable, middle of the road Republicans that stand on general conservative principles that have left the party because they just could not support, Trump's behavior and the way that Trump carries on. For me, there's a very big question of what happens after Trump goes, because the Republican Party is going to be in absolute disarray. And the Democrat, assuming that Trump wins the election, Democrats are going to have 4 years to regroup and get themselves together. So that's a really big question I think the Republicans have to think about. But I will say, people like Mitt Romney, people like Nikki Haley, and many others who are lukewarm towards Trump at best, threw their full support behind him after he was convicted in the last case in New York. And, they continue to talk about he's about to go into debate when he's got a gag order. Now, they're going to keep playing that. The gag order, I don't think, is actually as big a deal as what they're making it out to be, but that's what they're going to go with. So what they're doing is they're making Trump look like a victim. And so therefore, hey, I'm a Republican and I don't even really like him that much. What's happened to him is wrong. So you've got to vote for him because the Democrats are out of control and they've weaponized the justice system. And even Bill Barr has actually come out in support of him. And you've had pretty much across the board blanket support from the Republicans of Donald Trump since that conviction.
Just really quickly, because we need to go, Jacoby, and then we need to wrap up.
I was just going to point out everything Sasha said was true. Larry Hogan came out against Trump. The Republicans are actually primarying Larry Hogan and willing to lose the seat in New Jersey because Larry Hogan said something against Trump. On the actual House floor, if you say anything factual about Trump that sounds negative, if you were to say anything about the court cases, and this is why a lot of the Democrat Party right now, when they go to the House floor, they do not say his name because you are reprimanded from saying his name. In, I forget what state it was, somebody came out against Trump. It was a Republican that came out against Trump. They censured that Republican. So everything Sasha said was true.
Harry, put it in context. You always carry on about everyone else, not putting things in context. Put that censure into context.
Shaq, let's not do this. We only have a little bit of time.
Let's do it. You interrupt me. You interrupt me because you tell me that I'm going to put things in context. You got to abide by your own rules.
We're going to end this whole show this whole way. So
we're going to end the show this whole way. You do it to other people. If you do it to other people, you do it to other people. You gave me a lecture about it yesterday.
You're trying to talk over top of me. Here we go. We're going to end the show. This is the way we're going to end the show now because we're going to sit here and talk. Over top of me.
He can play by his own rules. He can play by his own rules. He wants to interrupt us to put things in context.
Shaq just going to keep on talking right now. And I was just trying to get out a point about what Sasha said was factually true. Because these things have here we go. Let me finish out.
Finish what? You're just repeating yourself.
Let me finish out. Because these things have actually happened. Therefore, any Republican from Mitt Romney throwing his support, it really wasn't throwing he's not running anymore. So you had other individuals who are not running in the Republican Party aren't really throwing their support behind Trump. Those that want a political future are now throwing their weight behind Trump. It's because right now, I just gave you factual information. I can bring up the news articles. I can bring up the actual things. You just want to overtalk because you will not listen to anybody else.
We can continue this.
You will not listen.
And everything.
I listen to you.
Jack, please stop. Mark is controlling the show. Mark is trying to talk.
And I'm trying to wrap up the show and everything. Just really quickly, because Trump has said that the vice presidential candidate will be there on the Thursday debate. Just really quickly, everybody, really quickly, guess who that will be and everything, because I'm thinking maybe it'll be J.D. Vance, but who do you think will be the person that will show up? Because he has said that in the audience will be his vice presidential candidate.
Yeah, but maybe they'll all show up. maybe Kristi Noem will show up with a puppy or something.
Maybe they'll all show up.
I think it could very well be.
I don't know. It's one of the what is it? Brian Donalds or some? No, or
yeah. I think it'll either be him or Burgum, but I think you'd probably want to get a black guy in. So, it's probably going to be him or Tim Scott. But I don't think it could be Scott. I think you're right. It's going to be Byron.
I think
It'll be Cotton.
It'll be who?
Cotton.
Tim
Oh
Cotton.
God, I hope not. Tom Cotton has even less of a personality and charisma than what Pence had.
Yep, that's what he needs.
Well, we'll see. Right now, we're getting ready to get out of here. We do have World Politics coming at 5, and we got Sasha getting ready to start very shortly.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, where is he? Is little princess gone? Has he?